So today we're going to go over chapter 32, the salon business. So we're going to review the types of business options. You can own your own salon, or perhaps you want to rent a booth within an existing salon. And now a lot of them are going to a suite layout where you actually have your own room. You have a door that you can shut. So if you plan to open your own salon, you need to have a brand identity. You need to create a logo. You know, what is the theme and the culture of your salon? What are you selling? Type of experience, aesthetic. You need a vision statement, a mission statement, and goals. So what is your point of difference? What is going to make a client want to visit your business versus the one across the street? What are you selling? Every salon sells haircuts and hair color. Think beyond the obvious. Are you selling a luxury experience, a family-friendly environment, or a cost-conscious express service? What is your aesthetic? Will there be consistent color, theme, or uniform for your staff? You can create a vision and a mission statement for the business with goals. A vision is a long-term picture of what the business is to become and what will it look like when it gets there. A mission statement is a guide to the actions of the organization. It spells out the overall goals, provides a path, and contains the core values to help guide decision making. You need to set goals, essential set of benchmarks that once achieved help you realize your mission and your vision. So you want to stop and think, where do I want to be in 1 year? 5 years, 10 years. You may start out just offering hair services, and then you're going to expand into nails, or you're going to expand into facials and spa services, as you grow your business. So that's what having goals and having a vision statement of what you visualize your business being over a number of years, and a mission statement. You want to create a business timeline, and I just mentioned this just a moment ago, of where you see yourself in a time frame of years. Determine your business feasibility. You want to choose a business name and choose a location. I worked for a man here in Brunswick who's opened 3 shops, I think, by now, and he always liked to be close to a bank because there's always traffic at a bank. So you want to think where you'll be visible, where people will see you. Some salon owners do go into a more secluded site, but they generally have a book of business clientele that they've had for a number of years, that are willing to follow, and they don't necessarily feel like they need, a high traffic area anymore because they've got a base built. And, maybe they are obtaining, through word of mouth, and now we have social media, Instagram, TikTok, all these things that you all are doing, that you can get out there and advertise yourself. But if you're starting out with a new business, and maybe you haven't quite built that clientele to the point you want to be where you will be seen. And location is everything. Written agreements. This is documents that govern the opening of the salon, including leases, vendor contracts, employee contracts, and more. A business plan, what you're going to do during this class, is a written description of your business as you see it today and as you foresee it in the next 5 years. If you go to get a loan for a business, you need a business plan. You need to lay out those goals and that mission statement and that vision statement, so you can tell this lender, this is where I'm starting, this is where I think I can be, in order to help you be able to qualify for that loan. They want to see that you are savvy enough in the way of business that you can make these projections. You want to do a budget. You want to, based on your clientele that you have now that you believe will follow you, you need to do projected incomes, projected expenses. So make sure you take all that into consideration. Business regulations and laws, there are applicable local, state, and federal laws that must be complied with, such as laws about zoning, OSHA, which we know is Occupational Safety Health Act, license to operate, and so on. When buying insurance, include areas like malpractice, liability, fire, burglary, theft, and business interruption. And that would be if your business burnt down and you couldn't conduct business, you would have insurance that would help cover your loss of income. You have to have inspections by electricians or maybe the fire department. You will have to obtain license to operate, not just from the state of Georgia Cosmetology Board, but also from your local county and city. If your business is located in the city, in Glenn County, you have to have a city license and a county license to operate. And this includes if you're just booth renting. Salon operations, the ongoing recurring processes or activities involved in running a business for the purpose of producing income and value. You got to make sure you have a handicapped accessible bathroom also. So that's something, that you would need to make sure that you have. Even if you're opening it in your home, they cannot go into your home legally and use your restroom. You have to have one in the salon area, and it has to be handicapped accessible. Record keeping, the act of maintaining accurate and complete records of all financial activities in your business. We've got QuickBooks and a lot of software out there now that has made this process much easier. So probably with, a few online tutorials, you can probably, get yourself sufficient in that pretty quick. Rules and policies adopted by the salon to ensure that all the clients and associates are treated fairly. Even small salons and booth renters should have salon policies in place. Individual ownership. Sole proprietor is the owner or the manager. Determines what the policies are and has the last say in the decision making, assumes expenses, receives profits, and bears all losses. It costs a person to open a business for you to work in. As I think I mentioned, I may have mentioned before, but they go through the taking on the liability. They're assuming all the risk in order that you can go in and have a place to work. Maybe you're earning commission, maybe you're renting a booth. There may be supplies that they provide, there may not be in a booth rent situation, but they have gone through that process and they have assumed all the liability and the risk in order to create this business that you are working in. A partnership's owned by two or more parties. More capital is available because you have two people coming in. If you're going to open a shop, you need to have money saved. You don't want to go into opening a business and create debt. So you need some working capital when you get ready to open that salon. One reason for going into a partnership, again, is more capital or money to invest in the business, which can help running your operation. Partners also pool their skills and talents, making it easier to share work, responsibilities, and decision making. And keep in mind that partners must assume one another's liabilities for debts, so they both owe for those debts. Another type is corporation. Capital is raised by issuing stock. Stockholders own interest. Corporate formalities required. Income tax limited to salary, and unemployment insurance required. Incorporating is one of the best ways that a business owner can protect his or her personal assets. Corporations raise capital again by issuing stock shares. Stockholders are people or companies that purchase these shares and have an ownership interest in the company. The more stock they own, the bigger that interest becomes. You may be the sole stock owner or shareholder, or you can have many stockholders. Corporate formalities such as director and stockholder meetings are required to maintain a corporate status. Income tax is limited to the salary that you draw and not the profits of the business. So whatever you're paying yourself or your earnings, if you're behind that chair, or let's see, because in a corporate, usually the people are going to all be employees. If you owned an individual business, you would want to incorporate, because for one thing, it separates your business assets from your personal, meaning if your business was sued, if you're incorporated, they cannot come after your home or your car or your personal bank accounts. Also, you would only pay income tax on a salary that you draw, not the overall profits of that money, of that business made for the year. So it reduces your tax liability. Corporations cost more to set up and run than a sole proprietorship or a partnership. For example, there are the initial formation fees, filing fees, and annual state fees. Everybody wants their money, don't they? A stockholder of a corporation is required to pay unemployment insurance taxes on his or her salary, whereas a sole proprietor or partner is not. So they have to pay into unemployment should an employee be able to draw, for if they were laid off, if business was slow and they got laid off. Sometimes even under, conditions of being fired, some people are still able to draw unemployment, and that is the corporation's responsibility to pay into that. The money has to come somewhere or come from somewhere that the state is paying you in unemployment. A franchise ownership. A franchisor has an existing successful business like Sports Clips. A franchisee is the one who contracts with a franchisor for the use of brand, name, and policies. And so they buy in to this person's business plan, and they have to follow the decor, the layout, services provided, what they charge. They follow the franchisor business plan layout, operating procedures, the whole 9 yards, but they own that individual business, the business itself. Most of the time they lease a space within a strip mall to have high traffic. A business plan. So this would consist of an executive summary, vision statement, mission statement, organizational plan. So regardless of the type of salon you plan to own, it's imperative to have a thorough and well-researched business plan, a written plan of a business as it is seen in the present and envisioned in the future to follow throughout the entire process of starting your own business. Many books, classes, DVDs, and websites offer more detailed information than provided here, but below is a sampling of the kind of information material that should be included in a business plan. An executive summary. It summarizes your plan and states your objectives. A vision statement, a long-term picture of what the business is to become and what it'll look like when it gets there. A mission statement, a description of the key strategic influences of the business, such as the market it will serve, the kinds of services it will offer, and the quality of those services. An organizational plan outlines employee and management levels and also describes how the business will be run administratively. A marketing plan. This outlines all the research regarding the clients your business will target and their needs, wants, and habits. Financial documents that include projected financial statements, actual historical statements, and financial statements analysis. Supporting documents includes owner's resume, personal finance info, legal contracts, and any other agreements. Salon policies. Even small salons and booth renters should have policies that they adhere to. These ensure that all the clients and the employees are treated fairly in consistency. For one thing, if you are going to booth rent, even though they may be renting that booth from you and they're their own entity, you can outline a dress code so someone doesn't walk in, in flip-flops and shorts and a tube top, if tube tops are still available. They were once upon a time. Because you own that salon, even though they're renting that space. So you want to project a professional image, and what I just described is not professional attire. And, as a stylist, we're not allowed to wear open closed shoes. So if state board walks in and that's what you're wearing, that's a fine and that's money out of your pocket. So purchasing an established salon, you would want a financial audit to determine the value of the business. Once the current owner's bookings are taken out of the equation, offer the salon Often the salon owner brings in the bulk of the business income, and it is unlike you that you will retain all the former owner's clients without a lot of support and encouragement from the former owner. Any existing financial statements should also be audited. You need a written purchase sales agreement to avoid any misunderstandings between the contracting parties. This is not something you do on a handshake or that you believe somebody, is worth their word and you trust them. It needs to be in writing to protect your rights. A signed statement of the inventory, including the value of each article, every towel, every product, every chair, every comb, every brush, anything that's being left in that salon has to be valued and listed. Investigation of loan defaults, if there's any transfer of any notes, leases, etc. Loan defaults, is there debts that they have not paid. Confirmed identity of the owner. There's a lot of identity theft going on out there. This is happening with homes where these identity thieves will produce counterfeit documents claiming that they bought your home on a quick deed, and then they turn around and put your home up for sale, and they take money from this other person, and then someone's knocking on your door because they've got a moving van and they're ready to move into your home. So you cannot trust anyone. You must make sure you follow all the legalities that are there for your protection. Get things in writing. I don't care if you've known this person for 20 years. Do you ever really know anybody? Use of a salon's name and reputation. If you want to keep the salon's name, you need to specify for what period of time. Disclosure of client information. Are they going to leave their client records there with you? Maybe the person's retiring. A disclosure on the facility condition. If you're buying the actual building, a full inspection is in order and many other legalities apply. Be guided by your realtor and your attorney. Non-compete agreement. This means they can't go open up next door to you or down the street and then compete with you. So you can specify a distance that they would have to reopen in if that's what they are doing. Employee agreements, either formal or informal, that let you know if the current employees will stay with the business under its new ownership. Existing employee contracts should be transferable. Drawing up a lease. Most people that open a salon are going to lease their space. There are some exceptions where the person may own the building. So you want to list exempt equipment and fixtures that are separate from the lease. Exempt means not included. Agree on any necessary renovations and clarify the option to sublease. And this way, obligations for payment of the rent are kept separate from the responsibilities of operating the business should you decide to bring in another person or owner. Protection against fire, theft, and lawsuits. You need to keep your premises secure and locked. Purchase insurance. Know the laws that govern your business and keep accurate records. You need to have adequate locks, a fire alarm system, and a burglar alarm system. You need to purchase liability, fire, malpractice, and burglary insurance, and do not allow these policies to lapse while you're in business. Become thoroughly familiar with all the laws governing cosmetology, nail technology, with the safety and infection control codes of your city and state. And always check with your regulatory agency if you have any questions about a law or a regulation. It's going to be your responsibility as a licensed professional to get on that state board website and look for any new rules or regulations that have been put into action. They are not going to send you a letter. They're not going to email you. You yourself have to get on that particular site and keep yourself updated. Know the law, because ignorance of the law is no excuse for violating it. You can't say, well, I didn't know that. It doesn't matter. Always check with your regulatory agency if you have any questions about a law or a regulation. Business operations. You need excellent business sense. I know several salon owners that got a business degree, either before or after they went to cosmetology school. And it definitely, they have, conveyed to me, made the process of opening their own salon business much easier. I'm not saying you have to get a degree, but if you don't have one, then you need to do your research. You need to make sure that you're checking every little item, to make sure that you're not missing a step, because missing a step can get you closed. and then you can't reopen until you have rectified whatever you may have missed as far as licensing and business license and inspections and being up to code, because maybe it's an older building and you've got to have it rewired because it's not able to carry the load of all the electrical equipment that you would use in a salon. Much of this knowledge can be accomplished by networking, talking to people that have owned businesses. You would be wise to establish a circle of contacts, business owners, including salon owners, who can give you advice along the way. Consider joining a local entrepreneurs group or your city's chamber of commerce in order to extend the reach of your network. You need to have sufficient investment capital. It means you need to have some money to put in the business. You don't want to start out deep in debt. You need to have efficiency of management. You need to have good business procedures, strong computer skills, management, employee cooperation, experienced personnel, and excellent customer service. Make sure you're pricing properly for the demographic that you're living in. Bigger cities where there's a more higher income earning demographic can charge higher prices. You're not going to be able to charge Atlanta city prices in Brunswick, Georgia. So make sure that you're not outpricing yourself for the area where you're choosing to open. And here's Ted Gibson. He's a celebrity stylist. He's someone that worked his way up. So here's an example of his pricing, and he can call for these prices because he's Ted Gibson. If you're not familiar with him, look him up. Allocation of money. So here's an example of where you need to allocate your money. Your salaries and commissions are always going to be your highest expense. Then you have your rent, your supplies, your advertising, depreciation, and an accountant can help you with what's depreciated if you bought equipment. Laundry, how much is it going to cost you to do your laundry? Are you going to have it sent out? Are you going to clean it yourself? You're going to have somebody come in and clean. Your electricity, there's going to be repairs. You need your insurances. You're going to have phones. There's miscellaneous things that will come up, and then you got your total expenses around 85%. So you're going to make a net profit of 15%. That's what's left over after you pay all your bills. That's your net profit. And you can either be profitable or you could go backwards and be unprofitable. So when you're profitable, they call it in the black. When you've spent more than you made, then you're in the red. The importance of record keeping. You need to meet the requirements of local, state, and federal laws regarding taxes and employees. Records are of a value only if they are correct, concise, and complete. Proper bookkeeping methods, keeping an accurate record of all income and expenses. A lot of your expenses are tax deductible, so you want to make sure you keep up with that. If you're leasing a space, that's tax deductible. Your supplies that you buy, tax deductible. Your repairs, purchasing equipment, that's all tax deductible. So that's going to reduce your tax liability at the end of the year as to what you will owe on your income made. It will come off of that and reduce it, therefore you will pay less tax. So that's why it's so important for you to make sure you keep accurate records. Just as I just described, expenses include rent, utilities, insurance, salaries, advertising, equipment, repairs, retaining all check stubs, cancel checks, receipts, and invoices. And now we have scanners. You can scan and keep all these records electronically. Make sure you have a system that you can back up, so if something happens, you don't lose all your information. So you're not storing boxes full of paper, hard copy records that are going to take up room and gather dust. A professional accountant or a full charge bookkeeper is recommended to help you keep accurate records. You need to maintain a perpetual inventory. That means that you are checking in and it checks out. You can buy software, a salon system software that will help you keep up with your inventory. Prevent overstock or shortages. You don't want to order stuff, too much of something, or you don't want to order things that don't sell. If they don't sell within a time period, mark them down. At least, get your money back that you spent, so you don't have money sitting there that's not generating you any revenue. Monitor theft. This is a big thing in salons. Unfortunately, sometimes people will steal from you. So you need to keep an eye on that. You may want to put cameras up, particularly your retail and what have you, because it can hit your bottom line if it's, egregious, and it's morally wrong. Why would, you don't want someone working for you that thinks it's okay to take things. And then establish the net worth of the business. A net worth of the business is after all the expenses have been paid, and what's left, that's your net. All debt and liabilities are taken off. Service records. And again, we can do this electronically and enter it into each client's specific record. You want to keep up with all your retail that is sold, because you may have stylists that are selling retail, so there are software they can log under a login for themselves, and it's going to keep up with everything they sold. So then you can look in the system and pay them the 10% or 20%, however much you're paying them, a percent of that retail sale. Because retail is marked up 50% in our industry. So a bottle of shampoo we pay $8 for, you charge the client $16. So you've got room in there to pay 10, 20% for sales. And mark things down to get rid of them. You're not going to make the 50% markup, but maybe you'll make 30. So don't let things hang around on your shelf. Don't over order, because that's tying up a lot of money. So booth rental. A professional generally rents a station or workspace in a salon for a weekly fee paid to the salon owner. This is due whether you make money or not. A booth renter is solely responsible for his or her clientele, supplies, record keeping, and accounting. Has the ability to be his or her own boss with very little capital investment. Desirable for those with a large, steady clientele who do not want to rely on the salon's general clientele to keep busy, or don't have to. So I always say you need to be about 70% booked before you consider going to booth rent, because you need to make sure you've got a steady stream of revenue to pay that booth rent every week. Booth rent, last figures I heard, $100, $150, $200. It depends on the salon, and that's per week. So you have to keep your own records for legal reasons. You have to pay your own taxes, and an accountant can help set you up on quarterly taxes, so you're not having to come up with that money at the end of the year. Carry adequate insurance, comply with the IRS, and use your own telephone and booking systems when you are a booth renter. Now we've got apps that we can use on our phone, that will text reminders to the client. They can book appointments online. You can send them a text to ask them to confirm the appointment, or even cancel it if they need to. Collecting all service fees, creating all professional materials, purchasing your supplies, tracking and maintaining your inventory, and managing the purchase of products and supplies. If you're a booth renter, it is your responsibility to have what you need there to do your services. If you get in the habit of borrowing from other stylists, then you're not adequately supplying yourself in order to serve your clients. And that can get very old really quick to another stylist. Maybe they don't mind helping you out once in a while, but when it's a consistent, habitual thing, they may tell you, I'm not going to loan to you anymore. I don't have anything to spare, because they're keeping up with their own supplies and they feel you should too. Advertising or offering incentives to ensure a steady flow of new clients. Paying for all continuing education, working in an independent atmosphere, and adhering to the state laws and regulations. Excuse me. So elements of a successful salon. It needs to be physically attractive, well organized, smoothly run, and clean. If I walk into a salon and it's not clean, I turn around and walk out. Because if they can't keep it clean, that tells me they're not following sanitation and disinfection and infection control. So you want to plan the salon's layout for the flow and volume of services. You want to have adequate space to store, adequate space for a dispensary. You need a break room for your employees. They need adequate space at their stations to service their clients. And you want to flow it out to where things are easily obtainable, easy to get to. You've got to think about the fire code. So you don't want a lot of things obstructing exits, because the fire marshal will get you on that one. You want to make sure you have adequate lighting, air conditioning, heating, and ventilation. If you're going to be offering nail services in the same particular shop, if you're going to be doing artificial nail services, you have to have good ventilation, because depending on, that liquid that you're going to use, and the odor of it, it may turn hair clients off and they're going to go to another salon. So here's an example of planning a layout for a salon. So your personnel, we want to look at their skill level. What's their educational background? What was the last time they attended an educational event? How long have they been in the industry? What can they bring to the organization beyond hairdressing or hair coloring? Personal grooming, do they look like professionals? Remember, we are our own advertisement, so you don't want to show up to interview and look unkept and ungroomed in wrinkled clothes and flip-flops. And I know I keep mentioning flip-flops, but it's because I've heard horror stories, I guess is what I'll call them, of people showing up to interview with flip-flops on. Not a good look. Image as it relates to the salon, are they too progressive or too conservative for you? Does their image reflect the image of your business? Overall attitude, are they mostly positive or mostly negative? Salons will get reputations when there's a lot of disharmony in a shop. There have been salon owners that have had walkouts where all their stylists walked out and now they're not generating the income that they were before. So, those are things to consider if you're going to be a shop owner, because you're going to have to deal with many personalities and you want to try to be as diplomatic as you can. There may come times when you have to tell somebody this is not working out anymore. You need to find somewhere else to work if they're causing a lot of negativity and disharmony, or not showing up and being responsible to their clients. Those are things that could give your shop a bad reputation. Look at their work history. How do they hop from salon to salon? If someone's not staying in place for, a couple of years or more, why is that? What is going on there? Are they bringing a clientele, or do they expect you to build one for them?